a remote, and she is a COAB member. Can you speak to those places where partial compliance was given for items where no data was available for review?
I think, I mean, it depends on the specific item, but oftentimes there might not have been specific numbers available for review, but we certainly had conversations, we looked at documents, so there wasn't necessarily no data at all, but no, there might not be specific numbers or statistics that we could look at, but that doesn't mean that we weren't talking to people and gathering information in other ways.
Sure.
So I don't know if this is the place to ask this question, but isn't it possible that we do have a gradation of compliance so that there's some more rational allocation of, as partial, you just like you're one tiny incy-weensy inch over the line versus substantial. And I know from a legal standpoint, there's descriptors that, significant versus substantial, et cetera. In medicine, we have measurement and quantifiable criteria for a lot of things that are subjective, like a pain scale, et cetera. So it seems like that shouldn't be too difficult to do and might be helpful to clarify.
Well, it's a little bit different than medicine here because there's a lot of, it is social science. And we do have quantification. One of our emphases, I have to say, has been creating new metrics within the police bureau, outside the police bureau, to measure lots of things. And so we are working on that, but generally, I think you're right. I mean, I do appreciate the difference. There are some recommendations that are just, they barely partially comply versus they comply quite a bit. There is substantial compliance, which is the next category up, which we're very reluctant to give. But so, I mean, in the absence of quantification, what is there is a qualitative description of what actually happened and didn't happen. And what activities the way it's structured is we also say what needs to be done in order to move this to the next level. So it's not just we came up with something. I mean, there's actual things discussed in there. I mean, some are weaker than others, that we admit.
I think there's probably some kind of communication issue here, because you got feedback from a variety of sources that said, why are you using partial compliance for this specific item? And some of those items, I recall, said, we didn't assess this yet, or nothing was done. And it's hard to believe that those items should get a partial compliance. Now, what I hear you saying tonight is something a little different. Well, we tried to do this, we tried to arrange the meetings, and it didn't happen because of this or that. But that wasn't fleshed out in the document, so the readers, and there were multiple readers who gave you the same feedback, said, why are you giving partial compliance when nothing is being done or nothing has happened? So I think to prevent that from happening again, because I certainly don't want to spend my time reading this very closely and say, oh, where did they come up with partial compliance when it says they didn't do anything? Yeah. If you could make it clearer to the reader, maybe that would help.
In all fairness, so let me, given that this discussion is continuing, let me be clear that in many places, so first of all, the areas in the report of, hundreds of paragraphs here, there may be one or two where I would argue there should be any debate about whether it should be partial compliance. And secondly, we did in fact go back and try to justify what we did, but we're asking those who continue to feel that it was unjust to provide some reasoning for your argument. We got no reasons, we just said we don't believe it's partial compliance. Well, just to the same extent that we had to justify our rating, we asked you to justify yours.
I have another question here from email. Follow up. The report says no material available in multiple places. So if there was data of any kind, why is this not listed in the report? What I'm hearing is a request for a way of looking at the categories that is not so broad as to be not informative. So that's what I'm hearing as the issue. And anybody want to speak to that? Because I'm hearing that non-compliance or partial compliance can be this broad when that doesn't tell people what that means. It doesn't mean that you've taken 6 steps or 8 steps or 24. So maybe there's a way to address that.
I think I've tried to address that, which is that there are words in the report that try to describe exactly what the police bureau has and hasn't done, what the city has and hasn't done, what the COAB has and hasn't done. And if people disagree with the label put on those words, then we should go back and look at that again. But I think that we feel that and again, I think that in the spirit of collaboration, and I'm not afraid to use that word, I think we want to encourage the police bureau to continue to reform itself. And I think that we also have to think that the reality is I don't think there's any area where they haven't done anything. There are some areas where they've made very little progress. But we're just trying to acknowledge that. I don't think, again, if we want, I think for the next time around, and there is the next time around, before we write that report, we do want to ask those who can continue to be concerned about our rating system to point out the ones that in particular where they think that it's a problem and why they think it's a problem.